Hello everyone, I'm Jaha Zainabu and this is Storytime with Jaha Zainabu 29. Okay. 29. We've been together for 29 days, y'all. So listen, today we're going to talk about different types of poetry. But before we do that, I am going to begin with a random story because I haven't done that in a few days. I don't know what's wrong with my throat. So today, a random story. I just thought about this before I turned the camera on, and I thought, you know what? I haven't shared this. Okay, so today's random story is, let's see, we're going back to, oh God, late 90s. Late 90s, like maybe late 90s, maybe 98, somewhere between 98 and maybe 2000. So it's Los Angeles, and one of the poetry rooms, ouch, was a room, these mosquitoes, man, was a room in Los Angeles, and I don't even think this room had a name. It was just, it was a beauty shop by day, and then at night, she, sorry y'all, at night she turned it into a poetry spot. She knew nothing. By she, I don't even remember the woman's name. But it was a very popular spot. Anyway, so she turned it into this poetry spot. And I think only because at that time, poetry spots were kind of hot. You know, people were coming out for poetry at that time. And she wanted to bring business to her place. So when we got there at night, of course there would be the the chairs set up, the beauty chairs where her customers by day would get their hair done. But at night she would have a bunch of tables, card tables, and the place was filled with people playing cards. Spades, dominoes, whatever, playing whatever. And she was the host, which was a mistake because she knew zero, zilch, nada about hosting a poetry event. So she would host from her card table seat. So she'd be dealing cards, and she'd go, the way she would bring people up, she'd say, Sandra, go on up. And so Sandra, I'm making names up. So Sandra would go up to the microphone. And when she was tired of hearing Sandra's poetry, she would get up from her seat, walk up to Sandra, take the microphone from Sandra, or whatever poet, mid-sentence, didn't matter. And then she would put it on the stand, and she sit down, she start dealing cards again, and then she look around the room, Jaha, go on up. And that's how she brought you up. And if you made it through a whole poem, you was all right. I never got my microphone taken, so we like that. Shout out, Miss Lady. But those were good times. Those were the time, that was poetry at that time. Back then, a lot of poets we were being booked in clubs for some reason. And I never really thought it was a good idea. So imagine a club is popping. Your favorite song is on. The dance floor is packed. There is a party in the back. There's a woman with a birthday. There's a cake. They're about to sing happy birthday. And then the music stops. The dance floor is emptied. And now you must perform your little poetry. Do you know the level of baby, you better bring it. That is happening in a poet's body at that time. So poets who came up in my generation, my time, you rarely see us on stage on some. So, do y'all want to hear a love poem, or would you like something more revolutionary? Or like, we just didn't have that kind of time. We had 2.1 seconds to bring it, and it had to be brought, or your microphone was going to get taken, or the music was going to get turned on, or the birthday bitch in the back was going to start singing happy birthday. Something was about to happen, you know. So quite nerve-wracking times. I'd say. Thankfully things have changed, and poets get a little bit more respect. I mean, poets, we kind of are the, especially back then, we were the, I don't know, stepchildren of the entertainment industry. Yeah, I mean, I could like do a whole, I could do a whole hour on the rooms we used to get booked in. And then there was always chasing the promoter after the gig. Then there was always the promoter who had to explain why they couldn't pay you because they had to pay the girl at the door. Or they had to pay the band guy, or they had to, but they gave you that, delicious exposure. It was, these were interesting times. I'll leave it there. I'll leave it there. So I'm going to jump into the lesson we're talking about today. For the past, let's see, 1, 2, 3, probably 4 or 5 days, I've been reading from work that I had previously written. I read my novella called The Nickel. I read my collection of like monologues called Paper. I read my adventure story called Lamb and Brew. So check out the other story times, the ones just before this one, and you'll see those stories. But today we're gonna talk about different kinds of poems. So before, in much earlier story times, we talked about just getting the story out of you. Whatever story. Today we are specifically talking about poems. But we talked about getting, and even the story of the poem, because there was a story in the poem. So before, I talked about getting the story out. And that first draft often looks like a journal entry sometimes, and that's okay because we just want to get it out. So let's say now you're in a space where you've gotten it out. You have what you want to talk about, but you want to shape it into something that looks like a poem. Here's the thing. You can do this. I happen to love classroom settings because I like the idea of bouncing ideas off one another. I like that. I like the camaraderie. I like hearing other people's work. I like sharing my work out loud with others. But let's face it, sometimes we're not in a space where we can actually take a class. We can't always easily take a poetry class. The thing is, they're all, classes and lessons on poetry and writing poetry, they're always available to you. There is YouTube, there is reading books, there is Google that will bless your life. And so you can always begin where you are with what you have. I'm a big proponent of that. Begin where you are. Begin with what you have. Um, I have mentioned many times the book that I wrote in 2013. It's called 365.2013, a poem a day series, where I wrote a poem every day. And that was 2013. What I rarely mention is that in 2014, because I love a project, and after writing a poem every day for a whole year, it was rather difficult to just stop with nothing else in place. Like, what now? What do I do now? So I didn't stop. From in 2014, from January to October, I wrote form poetry every day, and I would pick some type of poem. I think in January I began with haikus, I think, and I wrote a haiku every day. And then January, February, I think I did, the order could easily be wrong, but it's all on my blog on Blogspot. But I think in February I wrote sonnets every day. February, then March, it may have been limericks every day. So, you know, and you can do this. And so today, I'm just going to, I'm going to do what you can easily do at home. So as you see, I'm obviously not in a classroom setting. I am, you know, in my home, and I have my computer in front of me, and say, I just want to, I want to write form poetry. And I think that, and well, let me take a step back. So when I did this exercise in 2014, by that time I was teaching poetry. I was teaching poetry through an organization called Say Word, and I was teaching poetry to high school students, and it was quite interesting. Like, I loved most of the moments. But when I wanted to do the exercise myself on writing form poetry, and like I've said before, I like a challenge that scares me a little bit. So I try to go with forms of poetry that I rarely write. Like, I've heard of limericks, but I had never really written one, and certainly had not dedicated to writing one every day for a whole month. I had, you know, of course, heard of sonnets and had written a few, but for one of those months, I wrote a sonnet every day. So it was a project that scared me a little bit, because it wasn't something that I had practice in. It wasn't something that I was particularly, you know, good at, or, you know, and if I'm being real with you, wasn't something that I was really interested in. Um, as far as like, I was interested in the practice of writing different forms of poetry. Would I ever publish a book full of sonnets? Probably not. Um, Probably not. I like haikus. Would I write a book of haikus? I wouldn't. I don't think. I don't know. Maybe. Sonia Sanchez did, and it was quite lovely. Um, so, and then there were other poems. There were poems that I had seen before, but had never written, and didn't even know the names of. So I'm going to do exactly what you can do at home. If you have a computer, and most of us do, or if you have a phone, or if you have some device where you can log on to Google, log on. And I literally typed in different types of poems or forms of poetry, and a list will pop up. like that easy. So you don't have to be stopped at, well, I don't know how to do this and I don't have a teacher. Start where you are. Start where you are. Um, and and so I did this. So I wrote out actually some different kinds of poems, and then I'll share some of the forms of poetry that I did on my blog back in 2014. And give me some grace. Remember, it was 2014. These were forms of poetry that I was practicing with. Um, so many of the poems are not stellar, or they not, you know what I mean. But I'm not gonna sell myself short. They were decent poems, um, for what I wanted to do with them. I wanted the experience of writing a couplet or a limerick or the other forms of poetry. So let's see. So the first on my list is a haiku. And we know, and if, excuse me, I may go a bit fast and I'll share a few examples, but this is something that you can see at home. You can go to Google and just Google, like I said, types of poems. And the exercise today is just again to emphasize that you don't have to wait to craft your poem. You don't have to wait to get accepted into some school to write your work. You don't. School, yeah, school is important. School is great. Thank you for this food. Amen. But you don't have to wait if that's not where you are. Say you work every day, or say you don't want to go to school. Say you don't want to take a class, but you want to be able to craft a poem. I'm going to look up, you know what? I'm actually going to go to Google and I'm going to see what it says about, what does it say about haikus? Oh, here we go. Okay. So I'm literally on Google. And for haikus, it says, okay, it gives you examples of different haikus. Um, um, okay, it says that nature is the most famous haiku subject, which is true. You read a lot of poems, read a lot of haikus about nature, okay? In a haiku subject, including depictions of planets, animals, and the changing of season. There are many famous Japanese poets throughout the last few hundred years, and there have been many famous haikus in Japan. But here's the thing. Is that a hard and fast rule? It's not. Your haiku does not have to be about nature. It does not have to be. Follow the rules as you can. That's just my advice, especially if you are beginning poetry. Follow the rules as you can and still play with it. Still add your funk on it. I have many haikus about my life, about the life I see around me, about being a black woman in America, about being a mother, about, I think when I began to learn about poetry, haikus were probably, I think a haiku was the first form of poetry that I learned about. Yeah, I mean, maybe the first form was, roses are red, violets are blue, blah, 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 I love you, something like that. But That's like early elementary school, but you grow and you get into your late middle school years and early high school years, and you're in your English class, or at the time when I was going to school, they taught poetry. I don't know that that is what they do anymore, sadly, but we learned about it. And I think a haiku was the first form of poetry that I learned about it as a high schooler or a big kid, you know. So this is one of the haikus that I wrote. I don't like that one. I'm going to find another one. Okay. So this one I wrote in January, called 7 Miles. And I haven't read this yet. I am loggy and stiff after my long walk through and up neighborhood. Through and up neighborhood. Listen, okay? You better write a haiku, okay? Let's find another one. Dawn. We sat quietly, gazing at... Oh, where am I? Okay, dawn. We sat quietly, gazing at Rutland sky, breathing the moments. It was kind of fresh. Sky, nature, see? This one is called Believe. What if I told you I dream about you, where you sit quiet with me? Shrug. I haven't seen these in a long time. Okay, I'm just going to read this last haiku and then move on. Okay, shrug. I only have room. Oh, bless my heart. Okay, I was on one today, on this day. So this poem is called Shrug. I only have room for comments from players in game. Others shut up. And I remember writing that. I remember why I wrote that. I'm going to read it again and then I'll explain why I wrote that. Okay, shrug. I only have room for comments from players in game. Others shut up. I wrote that because the night before this, I remember this. The night before this, I was I was performing somewhere. I don't remember. But I was performing somewhere and somebody posted it. And you know how big and bold people are in the comment section. You know, they say things that they just wouldn't say in your face. And so someone wrote, I don't remember the specific comment, but it was nasty about me. And she was, nobody's a nobody. So she was not a nobody, but she was not a poet that I knew of. She was not, I didn't know who she was. Let's just say that. And so I wrote that, you know, if you are gonna like comment about me, at least be in the same game. Like at least, you know. So if you are not in the game, then I can't hear the comment, right? Others shut up. Anyway, I be in my feelings sometimes. Bless my life. Okay, a couplet. Let's move on to a couplet. What does Precious Google say about a couplet? All of this is, and I'm doing this because it is exactly what you can do. This is why I'm doing this. Normally when I teach poetry, I am teaching from, I'm sure they have couplet in here. I'm teaching from some book. But you don't have to have a book in front of you. You can have, go to Google. You can go to a computer or chat GPT or ask your mama, you know. Okay, let me see. I'm going to actually put in a search for a couplet, O-U-P-L-E-T. What does it say? Okay, the definition of couplet is 2 lines of verse, usually in the same meter and joined by rhyme that form a unit. Okay, so another definition. Or further definition. A couplet is a literary device consisting of two consecutive lines of poetry that typically rhyme and share the same meter. Couplets can be part of a larger poem or stand alone as a complete thought. Okay, so let me find, I know that I wrote couplets because I think that I wrote couplets. Let me find couplet to give you an example. And I literally am just on my blog. This is an old blog. Okay, here we go. So in September was the month I was writing couplets. This couplet is called Side Effects. Okay, it's called Side Effects. At night, the meds make me feel sleepy. In morning, I'm dizzy and creepy. I didn't say that it was that deep. I said it was a couplet, okay? Judge yourself. Let's find another one. Okay. This one I wrote in September, and my birthday is in September. And so it's called My Birthday. I was born on the 3rd of September, a happy date I'll always remember. Okay, this is called Time, and it's a couplet poem. I can sail on a boat, I can sit on a moat, I can look at the sky, I can ask myself why. I kind of like that one. I can sail on a boat, I can sit on a moat, I can look at the sky, I can ask myself why. It's giving Dr. Seuss, it's giving, it's giving nursery rhyme, it's giving go to sleep, my baby. Okay, this last one, self-care day. This lovely day I am very well rested, taking care of myself, I am greatly invested. It's giving commercial, it's giving hook, right? So there's a whole month of couplets. One thing about me that I frankly acknowledge myself for is I am not afraid of putting out work that, I'm not the best couplet writer. Okay, I'm not the best haiku writer or sonnet drafter. I'm not the best at that, and I don't have to be. That wasn't the end game. The game wasn't look how good my sonnets are. Let's make a book of sonnets. That wasn't the game. The game was, you know what? I've never really practiced writing sonnets before. Let's do this. And I acknowledge myself for playing the game of let's do this in front of the world. And by in front of the world, I simply mean on my blog for anyone to look at and criticize. That's all. And it's easy to criticize from your seat. It's easy to go, I think I could write a better couplet or sonnets. You probably can, boo. You probably can. Okay, let's go to acrostic poems, which I happen to like. Okay. Acrostic poems were also poems like that I remember writing early on in my study of poetry. The official definition, not that my definition is not as official, but we're gonna consult the computer. An acrostic is a poem or other word composition in which the first letter of each new line spells out a word, message, or the alphabet. The term comes from the French, I don't know how to say that word, but it comes from that. Basically, if Like you take a, let's say, what word do we want to spell out? You know what? I will go to my blog. How about that? Because I wrote a bunch of acrostic poems. How about that? I already did the work, baby. So I would encourage you to try this at home. Try this right where you are and just play with them. So what, you aren't that interested? Try it one time. Just to say you did it. Try it one time. Write an acrostic poem, write a sonnet, write a ballad, write just get your feet wet. Why not? Okay, so this okay, so remember, you can write out a message or a word. The message I was writing is with my sisters. So there are 3 stanzas, and the first letters of the first stanza, the first letter starts with W, and then the first letter of the next line is I, and then T, and then H. So that spells out with. And the whole message will be my. And then the last stanza, those letters are with my sisters. So the poem reads, we are intuitive ones. Inside and out, we are free. Travel with thoughts, heroes. And now my. My blessings are my sisters, younger and older. We are forever. And then the last stanza, sisters. Sacred time, inside is our power. Stars are always reachable. Togetherness and friendship, each of us with our own gifts. Recycle energy, sing songs, and write poems about life. We can do that. I don't care what level of poet you are. You can do this. You can write an acrostic poem. It doesn't have to be a phrase. It could be your name. Spell out Robert and write a line, the first line beginning with R, and then OBERT. I don't care if you are a beginning poet. I don't care if you have never written a poem before. You can do this. So literally go to Google or go to wherever you get your information. Go there and just pull out different kinds of poems. Wherever you're looking, they'll give you examples. Follow those examples. They will tell you the rules of that poem. Follow the rules. Stay in the box. And then, freestyle as you will, but start in the box. How about that? Okay, let's try another acrostic poem. This one, I'm spelling out thankful. 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 So, thankful. Trees, harvest, answers, new blessings and knowing, fruit and dreams in bloom, Uraeus and love. Thankful. You like the way I did that, didn't you? Thankful. Okay. Okay, here's a longer one. This is an acrostic poem, and the month I'm in 2014 is July, if you're interested, if you have ever followed this blog. I'm in July. And the phrase is, or the words are, laughter, stories, friends, family. Again, that's laughter, stories, friends, family. So There are, after stories, friends, 4 stanzas. And the first stanza is laughter. The next is stories, friends, family, like that. So, love easy this blue sky day, after class and bumper to bumper traffic, Uraeus and I with Cat and Noel gather at Skies for food and fun, hearing stories about today and plans for tomorrow, sipping lemonade this evening, loving this life and this right now. Singing old songs remind us to remember each other in prayer. Our hearts know that we are each other, right and left, our loved ones all around. Inside, we smile at the smooth of the moment, effortless as marble, sweet as cheesecake. Freedom looks like this: rows of tables and sounds of people who love each other, resting inside and out under umbrellas, eager to learn more about soul behind the smile, new ideas and times and way we do life has emerged, and we say yes to the new and embrace the old, forgiving and loving and moving forward, aiming higher than the generation before. Me and my people in all this good love and joy, we get full and lean back and just say yes and yes again. So the words again were laughter, stories, friends, family. Again, whatever level you're on, you can write an acrostic poem. If you can write, you can write an acrostic poem. I'm going to move on. Let's see. Okay, so ballad. I did a month of ballads. And I did that because I had never written a ballad before. You know, to me, ballads were for Smokey Robinson or, you know what I mean, other songwriters. And I don't call myself that. But it is a form of poetry. And so it's my blog. What is going to happen if I write a bad ballad? Nothing. Nothing. What is going to happen to you if you write a ballad that sucks in your notebook? Nothing. But you will have written one. Okay, so let's go to the official definition of ballad. Here we go. Okay, it says that a ballad is a narrative song. I like that. Okay, according to Wikipedia, a ballad is a form of verse, often a narrative, set to music that originated in medieval Europe and spread across the world. Okay. Okay, I'm going to go to my blog, and I'm almost scared to know what kind of ballad came out of me in 2014. But we're about to find out. Okay, ballad. Okay, I'm trying to read it first, but you know what? I'm just going to jump in. I don't know what it's going to look like. I don't know what it's going to sound like. I'm practicing, okay? It's 2014. I never wrote a ballad before, and I did it, okay? So, judge yourself. So this ballad I wrote, so June was the month I was writing ballads. June 2014. And this ballad is called For You. These flowers for you celebrate the day you were born. This melody for you, for the love that we've grown. Gather the crowd and sound the horn. Today is your day, the world's for you to own. Oh, to rhyme with grown. Gotcha. Here we are now with cake and ice cream, like children at a party, laugh and play all night long. I tell you I love you, and you know what I mean, to rhyme with cream. I write you a poem, and you know it's a song that rhymes with long. See where I was going with it? You see. You see. I know you see. Okay. This is a ballad written June 6, 2014. Okay, and I'm just going to jump in. All those nights she sat up and cried. All of that makeup to cover her eyes. All of those nights begging you please. Just wanted a kind word, be treated with ease. Now you're behind bars and she is no more. Now you're really sorry for all of her sores. You have years left to sit, think about what you've done. You have demons at night, you wish you wouldn't come. But now it's too late, she's never coming back. But now it's too late for the kindness you lacked. What would you say if you could see her again? What would you do to go back to then? Okay. I tried it. I more than tried it. I tried it for a whole month every day, which is not a tiny thing. Okay, I'm gonna read one more because I'm feeling myself. You like that, didn't you? This ballad is called Danced. Once upon a time, there was a pretty little girl who wore long silky braids and twisted and twirled. She spent her long days writing poems and songs about lovers she dreamed and the lines on her palms, about good luck and happy days to come, about rain and the taste upon her tongue. The pretty little girl, a woman she became, perfected her cursive and the way she signed her name. She spent her days dancing, singing songs she used to know. The lovers that she knew, she had to let them go. The one to stay forever had yet to come her way, but she didn't fret. She danced and kept her faith. I tried it. So that's ballad, you know. Okay, let's see it. Ode. You know what? In my head, I'm going odes or sonnets. I'm going to go with sonnets right now, and then maybe we'll go back to odes. Okay, let's go with sonnets. Because I think that an ode might be easier to write than sonnet, and I want to go with something much more structured, and that would be a sonnet. And I know that a sonnet has to be in here somewhere, because that would make sense. Okay, sonnet. Okay, come on now. A sonnet is a fixed poetic form. This is according to Wikipedia again. A sonnet is a fixed poetic form consisting of 14 lines that typically follow a specific rhyme scheme and are written in iambic pentameter. Traditionally, a sonnet is divided into two parts: an octave, 8 lines, and a sestet, 6 lines. The term sonnet comes from the Italian word sonetto, meaning little song. I didn't know that. There are various types of sonnets, including Petrarchan and Shakespearean sonnets, each with its own unique structure and rhyme scheme. Sonnets have been a popular form of poetry for centuries, appealing to many major poets throughout history. Okay, I know that was a lot to hear if you're not, reading it. Let's start with the beginning. So a sonnet is a fixed poetic form consisting of 14 lines. Um, um, okay. Okay, here's the thing. I read the definition. I want you have homework tonight. You never have homework, but you have homework tonight. Go look up a sonnet. Look up the rules, look and write it out for yourself and try your hand at it. I'm not going to read all of that because we're only here for an hour. So, I'm not going to read all of that, but I am going to. I believe I wrote sonnets in 2014. Or maybe I punked out. I don't know. We're about to find out. I'm going to be embarrassed if I don't have any sonnets on here. Oh, I did. Okay, cool. Okay. Here's a sonnet. Okay, 14 lines. There we go. This sonnet is called Dear Jaha. And I haven't read this yet. I don't know what we're about to talk about. I hope it's something cool. Dear Jaha, because loving myself is my good love, my hands, my feet, my eyes, smile, my whole self. There are some times I need reminding of my shine and not to hide my gifts on shelf. My legs hold me steady. My knees bend free. My spine is strong and my skin is so thick. I give myself space to breathe and just be. I am air and water, red, dirt, and brick. This long neck, these breasts, my fingers and toes, loving self is not always this easy. I wear red and green and colorful clothes. I stand proudly and speak rasp and wheezy. This poet, this painter, this woman, me, this artist, lover, this face that I see. I actually like that. I like that. I'm going to read another one. So there. So if you're following along at home, February is the month I was doing sonnets on my blog. And this sonnet is called Heads, Tails. Who knows what we're about to talk about. So we are visiting 2014 Jaha. Ever wonder why life is way it is? Why much as I reach you seem out my way? We are a soda that flattens and fizz. I think of you, spare moments of my day. Remember how we talked all through the night, then morning would come, and one of us left, not knowing the why, the start of the fight. Doubts of the future into our minds crept. I have given lucky charm its due meed. Heart round my neck, only circumstance make. The rest is faith that you and I need. No amount of kiss or cookies I bake. Make this thing work. Only you and I know. I have to be brave to stay or to go. Get it, Jah. Get it, 2014 Jaha. You better write a poem. You better write a motherfucking sonnet. I know you was going through it. I know relationships weren't ever easy, but you wrote a fucking poem about it. You wrote a sonnet, and you don't even write sonnets, but you wrote a fucking sonnet about your busted ass relationship. I love you. I acknowledge you for that. Sometimes you have to acknowledge yourself. Sometimes you have to look at yourself in the face and say, you did that. You did that job. I'm gonna read one more because I did that in the last one, and maybe I did it again. We're gonna see. Okay, this sonnet is called Stroll. His tone very arch, his posture so stiff, his gait very slow, his eyes dark and mean, his fists balled up tight, his hat low as if he is hiding like in a movie scene. Hoodie covers his head, headphones on ears, rehearsing rap lyrics, poetry too. He crosses gang towns and silently fears gunfights and knife fights. He covers his blue. He makes it across town, riding the bus. He walks in the door and puts down his bags. He kisses his mom and gives her a hug. He goes in the yard, burns all of his rags. Damn. Tired of these days, confronted with strife, dreams of some ways to have another life. Damn. Bless my heart. I think that was pretty deep. I think that was pretty dope. It reminds me of a time Urias was in first grade, and we were living in Los Angeles on 23rd Street. And I was walking home probably from the bus stop. I was walking home, I was by myself, and there was a teenager. And it broke my heart to see this. Like it kind of brings me to tears now. He was an older teenager, like 18. He could have been as old as 19. And he was standing on as a light about to cross the street. And I saw a much younger boy kind of like gang questioning him. And so I slowed and I just hovered, hoping that the presence of an older woman would shift the energy. I hope it did, but still a lot went down. So the 19-year-old, the much younger kid, is on the 19-year-old, and he says, "Where you from?" And the older guy answers, and he wasn't from where we were. And so he was the younger guy. So what are you doing here? And so each question he asked, the older guy would answer. But while he's answering, the younger guy is patting him down for weapons or whatever, or drug, whatever, whatever. And so he's like walking in circles around him. And it broke my heart. I mean, I have a boy, and not just for my boy, but for all of the boys and girls who have to go through this on these gang streets. It's fucked up. It's uncomfortable. You don't know what's about to happen. But something told me to be there for that young man and just not leave him. And so I didn't. I didn't want the younger guy to feel like I don't know how to say this without, but I just stood there. I stayed there. And so the younger guy kept asking the guy questions. Where you from? What you doing here? Where your auntie stay? Da 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 da. And he's patting him down. And then at some point he's patting his ankles, and is tense because we don't know if he passed. And if he doesn't pass, does he die? Does he get shot? Do I get shot? Like, what happens? Eventually, he let him go. Eventually, he let him cross the street. The older guy left, and I left, and I don't know if the guy hung around on the corner or not, but we shouldn't have to live like this. I mean, it's bad enough. It's bad enough we got to go through the white cops. It's bad enough we got to deal with, and in LA, it's bad enough we got to deal with racism from every other race. Everyone, every other one, and the anti-blackness that exists in their communities. It's bad enough we got to deal with that. And that day, it just sucked to see that happen. And I was just in constant prayer, like, God, just let this, So that poem just reminded me of that day. I mean, this poem was written in 2014, and this was not. That incident happened before, maybe before 2014, but that's what it reminded me of. And I just feel like reading another one, especially because this one is called Urias, and Urias is my son, and I don't know what I said to him. February 10th, 2014. Poem is called Urias. I want you to run, be happy and free. I want you to laugh, have friends and good love. I want you to sing, spend days on the sea. I want you to pray, have peace like a dove, beach, party, yellow, smile, skate, purple, blue. College, work, travel, weekends, planning, years. Passport, land, air, roads, languages brand new. Ideas, leadership, king, partnership gears. Brown skin, long locks, vocabulary bold, journey, path, good health, plan, intelligent, serious, play, free, expressive and gold. You are beautiful, lovely, elegant. Walk left foot then right. Hold head up and straight. Strong, smiling, wonderful, steady your gait. I like that too, actually. I think I'm going to revisit these sonnets. Maybe I like sonnets more than I think I did. Okay, I'm going to read this last sonnet. It's called Care. Loving myself is sitting in silence, is knowing God is always inside me, guiding, protecting, speaking and holding, is falling and failing and getting up. Loving is reaching out and expressing myself, is knowing you are me, I, you, is honoring my passion and gifts, remembering why I am here on earth. Loving is dreaming, reaching beyond sight, achieving my goals and pressing forward, taking care of my mind, body, and soul, remembering rest, good food, water, joy, laughter, and fun. Crying is love too. Loving myself is taking time for me. I don't have a feeling about that one, but that wasn't the point. Okay, we only have about a minute left. So, okay, prose. That's probably what we write without even knowing we're writing prose. Let me see the official definition of prose. Let's see. Prose is defined as ordinary language used in speaking or writing, which does not follow a meter or rhyme scheme. It is structured in a grammatical way, allowing for the communication of ideas in a linear, logical order. Prose resembles everyday speech and is straightforward, making it distinct from poetry, which often follows a rhythmic pattern. So in prose, write something you're passionate about. Let it out. Prose is actually a good form to end on. Write something you're passionate about. I remember before computers, before laptops, before all of the gadgets, I would carry around everywhere I went a backpack of journals. I kept these journals every day. I had and they were thin journals because I literally carried them with me every day. So they were those thin composition books that you get from the Dollar Tree or wherever. But one was a Dear Urias book, and I would write letters to my son. Another was a prayer journal, and I would write out prayers. Another was a daily log. Dear diary, today I got on the bus and whatever happened on the bus. So a daily log. I think there were like 5 or 7 of them. I don't remember what the other topics were. But, and one, there was like a poetry book of poems. I don't remember what the other ones were, but there were about 5 or 7 of them. But I would write in them every day. And most of them were prose poetry. That's what I was, prose was what I would use, was what I was most comfortable with. I kind of wrote out things that I should have been in therapy about, except at that time I wasn't trying to go to no therapy. At that time, therapy is what white folks did. At that time, I was in a different place, and there wasn't blogs, and there wasn't that kind of stuff. And so so my journals is where I poured, and it was prose. Yeah, that's where I started, and maybe that's where you are too. This exercise tonight was to show you that you can write form poetry. It's not just for those in academia. You can write form poetry. You can write a sonnet. The rules are not kept away from you. You can Google the shit and it will say, this is how you do this, motherfucker. And you can do it, do it. Try it. And put it out in the world. So what? And by out in the world, does it have to be on your Facebook? No, not really, no. Maybe read it to somebody. Maybe share it with someone. I like it being released out. That's just me. It just makes it like it's out there, But if you choose to keep it hidden in your journal or wherever you choose to keep it, for me, keeping things hidden just does not have me like want to grow them, So share it or not. But the exercise today is not about sharing it. Today is about doing it. Today is just do it day. So pick a form that you are not used to writing, that you may fall in love with. For me, I think looking back on these sonnets from 2014, I kind of feel like there was something there, and perhaps I'll go through that month, whatever that month was that I was writing sonnets. Maybe I'll go through that month and pull them out. Maybe they'll appear in some book. Who knows? The point is to do it. Do it. Do it to it. This has been Storytime with Jaha Zainabu 29. See you tomorrow, my friends. See you tomorrow.